Good Yontif, everyone. It's wonderful to be together and see you here in person. Thank you so much for your compliance with our safety precautions, which I know a year from now will be avoided, God willing, and we can just sit wherever we want and breathe on each other as much as we want. So Kol Nidre is sometimes, for many of us, the service of the year, the time to let it all out and get it all out. For those of us who have ambivalence about the idea of a God who judges us, let's be our own judge for the next 24 hours. You know yourselves. And we know ourselves. And one of the great and most fundamental pieces of Jewish tradition is the idea of letting stuff go. And so let's use this opportunity for the next 24 hours to go deep inside of ourselves and sacrifice something of ourselves and let it go so that we can be prepared to move on from whatever it is and whatever condition it is that our spiritual and mental self is in at this time. So that's what I want to encourage us to do, is to judge ourselves, not to judge others. And when we say we're sorry, whether it's to God or to a friend or to someone who hasn't been a friend but we want back in our lives, let's mean it. Let's mean that we're willing to give up that part of us that is so prideful that we can't say that we're sorry. So we've got some hard work to do in the next 24 hours together, but we're together. Not one prayer in this prayer book is not in the plural, we, us. You've got people to your right and to your left, and at home, you've got your family, hopefully, and other people sitting around you. We're all here together, and we're in this together. And I pray that 24 hours from now, when we get to the other side of it, we can feel and be that change and return with teshuvah to our essences. So we are going to begin with the lighting of our Yontif candles. And as has become our custom, we're inviting our very hardworking staff, especially this last year, from Congregation Beth Israel, to come up to the table and lead the lighting of candles. It's great to welcome Stacy, Gail, Kathy, Jen, Jason, Amy, and Catherine. And Josh, our newest. Josh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom HaKippurim. And let us all join together in Shehechianu as well. Baruch אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה אמן
Page 15. Kol Nidre, a chant that begins in a whisper and rises to a cry. On this night of promises remembered, each soul in solitude communes with the soul of the universe. God, from this day of atonement to the next, may we reach it in peace. All Israel makes these vows to turn from wrong, dishonesty, and greed, to walk in the path of justice and right. Yet we know our weakness, how prone we are to fail. Help us to keep our word. Help us to act with humility and integrity. We seek pardon and forgiveness. We seek your radiance and light. Page 16. Let's stand.
Zaru al tzadik uleish lev simcha Or zaru al tzadik uleish lev simcha Zaru al-tzadik uleishrei lev simcha Or zaru al-tzadik uleishrei lev simcha Zaru al-tzadik uleishrei lev simcha Or zaru al-tzadik uleishrei lev simcha Or zaru al-tzadik Yishrei lev simcha
Light is sown for the righteous, radiance and joy for the pure of heart, together at the bottom of 16. With one voice, assembled sages, past and present, declare, all may pray as one on this night of repentance. Let none be excluded from our community of prayer. With one voice, God and congregation proclaim, all may pray as one on this day of return. Let all find a place in this sacred assembly.
וחרמי וקודמי וכינויי וכינוסי Kippurim ad Yom Kippurim.
Together at the bottom of 18, all vows, resolves, and commitments, vows of abstinence and terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves. From this day of atonement until the next day of atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven. abolished and undone. They are not valid and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be vows. Our resolves shall not be resolves. And our oaths, they shall not be oaths. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. We stay standing and turn to page 22. Page 24.
Sorry.
You're all doing great.
That's working.
All righty then. See, Yom Kippur is all about starting over and trying again. Page 24, let's read together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzevaot shemo.
El chai v'kayam, tamid imroch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim.
Page 26 in the middle. Love beyond all space and time, your love enfolds your people, Yisrael. We receive it in your teaching, your gift of Torah, sacred obligations, discipline, and law. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Malech
You may be seated. Page 28.
We invite up Perry Matty Cinco to join us to chant the Ve'ahavta.
We are delighted to have Perry, a recent bat mitzvah, as well as a student from our religious school and camper at Camp Stein.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol lavavcha v'chol nafshecha uvecho meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohim etzaveah hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levaneha v'dibarta bam v'shivteha b'veitecha uvlechteha v'adere Ushofbeha uvkumecha, ushartam leot al yadeha, vehayu letotafot beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tiskeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'yetem kedoshim lelohehem, ani Adonai Elohehem, asher hotzei tietem meretz Mitzrayim, liot lahem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohehem.
Adonai Elohechem emet. God.
Continue on page 38. Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a peoplehood of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. Witness to this historic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy.
Let's join together. Mi hamocha b'elim Adonai, mi hamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefeh, alechutecha ra'u panecha, v'kayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zeheli anu ve'yameru Adonai Iloh le'olam va'ed.
Page 42. Hashkivenu is a prayer called a piyut, a poem. It's rabbinic liturgy that's around 2,000 years old, 1,500 years old, written during a time when our Siddur and our Machzor were being compiled. Hashkivenu is only said at nighttime because it contains the words asking God to shelter us, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, to guard us beneath the wings of the divine presence. Why at nighttime? Because there was a time, believe it or not, when there were no traffic lights, there were no street lights, there were no devices, there were no household lights. When it was dark, it was very dark. And the rabbis, like many of us, were scared of the dark. And in that fear, they asked God to protect them beneath the wings of the divine presence. In a world that is torn by so much pain, a world where we ourselves, depending on the day, feel a darkness within, we ask for God to help to lift that darkness and to make it light again, so tomorrow we can wake up to a world that is renewed in love and in joy and in healing and in life. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. God, let us wake up tomorrow to a better world, and let us, with your strength, make that world better through our acts and deeds. Page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Vehamidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha V'tagneinu Beitza Tova Milfanecha V'hoshienu Leman Shemecha V'hoshienu V'hagreinu Padeinu V'haser me'aleinu oyev Dever v'cherev v'rahav v'yagon V'haser Satan milfaneinu machareinu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Vehamidenu Malkeinu Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha V'tagneinu Beitza Tova Milfanecha V'hoshienu Leman Shemecha V'hoshienu V'hagreinu Padeinu Ubetzel kenafecha tastirenu, ki el shomrenu matzilenu ata, ki el melech chanun, chanun verachum ata. Ushmor tzeitenu, voenu lechaim uleshalom. Seitenu voenu lechaim uleshalom. Ufros aleinu sukkot shalomecha baruch atah Adonai. Aporei sukkot shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Ushmor
Page 45, we recall the words of the book of Leviticus, chapter 16. Ki vayom hazeh chaper alechem, v'taher etchem, mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai titaru. For on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai.
Yitkatal ve'yitkata Shemei Rapa
Amen.
Ve'alema tiverach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei lechol beit Yisrael ba'kahala u'v'zeman kariv ve'imeru Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah v'barach le'alam olam ve'avaya yitvarach yivarach ve'yishtabach v'yitvar v'yitramam ve'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yidalem v'yidalal Shemei Kedoshah
Brichu.
Leila Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushmechata v'nehemata damiran peyalema v'meru
Please join with me in reading from Psalm 51 on the top of page 46, and then together we will stand for the Amidah. Together, have mercy upon me, O God, as befits your faithfulness. In keeping with your abundant compassion, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly of my iniquity and purify me of my sin, for I recognize my transgressions, and I am ever conscious of my sin. Please stand.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Adonai sefataitika, ufi aki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon. חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. Baruch atah Adonai Magen Abraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Bechaye Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Merachamim Rabim Somech Novim Verofem Kolim Umatzir Asurim Umechaye Merunato Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. Amen.
Please be seated. And let's read together on page 71 in the middle of the page. On this night of atonement, grant us, God, a sense of your presence as we call upon your name. Speak your hopeful message to each yearning heart and answer the worthy petitions of each yearning soul. Purify and strengthen our noble strivings and cleanse us all of our unworthy desires. Join us together in fellowship and in love, and grant us the joy which comes from enriching other lives. Help us to be loyal to the heritage we share. Draw us near to Torah and wisdom and in faith. Strengthen our devotion to our people everywhere. Keep alive our faith in righteousness and truth. Bless us with the hopes to uplift our daily lives, and keep steadfast our courage and our resolve at all times. On this night of atonement, help us to be worthy of your presence as we call upon your name.
Page 72. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Israel, ברצון, תמיד עבודת ישראל. Let's join together.
We're going to take a few moments now for our own silent prayers and meditations. Please take this time to relax in your seats and reflect and review on the year that has passed, and even as important, on the year that is yet to come and the things that you are willing to sacrifice to give of yourselves, not just to make the world better, but to make your life better. Silent prayer.
Let us join together in words of meditation. Kehilah Kedoshah, page 81. Kehilah Kedoshah, V'hegyo libi lefanecha, Adonai tzuri v'gohali. Oh, may the words of my of my heart be acceptable before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
Let's all turn to page 82 in our Machzorim. Whether we are at home watching on the live stream or here, this is the first of several sections of our services on Yom Kippur called Vidui. And Vidui is the confessional. And these are the similar words that we say at the bedside of someone who is dying. When the cantor and Rabbi Mason Barkin and I have the unique honor of saying these words at the bedside of someone who's dying, we are saying it on their behalf, typically because they are no longer lucid enough to say it for themselves. Yom Kippur and Kol Nidre specifically, as morbid as it may sound, are a rehearsal for our deaths. That is to say, these are the words of these viduis that we think and share before our lives are over. And it's our way of connecting with God, but also with those with whom we love and care about the most, to say one very simple thing. We are not and we cannot be perfect, but we certainly can try. We can try harder to be better friends, better parents, better kids, better siblings, better spouses, better partners. That these are the decisions that are left up to us while we are here on this earth. And as I said at the beginning of the service, every single one of these sins where we have missed the mark is said in the liturgy in the plural, as if to say we are not alone, whether we're in this room or at home, in our inability to be perfect, but that we have all done these things at some point or another. And so we communicate it to God as a community, as a we, as an us, so that no one gets off the hook. No one feels like they're better than someone else or worse than someone else. Again, we are our own judges. So we begin this first of many viduis, mindful that we're not perfect, but equally mindful that the person sitting to your right and to your left and behind you and in front of you, yes, even your spouse, is not perfect. And so let's turn to page 82 again. Eloheinu v'Elahei avotenu v'imotenu, tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, v'al titalem etchinatenu, anachnu azei fanim k'chei oref, lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei avotenu v'imotenu, tzadikim anachnu v'lo chatanu, aval anachnu chatanu. Together. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Please stand.
Ay, 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 ay,
Ya da 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 da. Shamnu,
Baganu,
Bagadnu,
Gazanu,
Gazalnu,
Ibarnu Dofi,
Dibanu Dofi,
Evinu,
Evinu,
Behir Shahanu,
Vehishanu,
Zanu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Afalnu Shaker,
Tafanu Shaker,
Yatsnura,
Yatsnura,
Izavnu,
Izavnu,
Latsnu,
Latsnu,
Maranu,
Maradnu,
Niyatsnu,
Niyatsnu,
Saraharnu,
Saranu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Ashanu,
Ashanu,
Saraharnu,
Saranu,
Ishinu Over,
Kishinu Orev,
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiyavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
Titanu,
Ay, 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 ay,
Let's continue together. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. You know the secrets of the universe and the secrets of the human heart. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner lives. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden from your sight. Eternal One, our God and God of all ancestors, we pray that this will be your will. Forgive all our wrongdoings. Pardon us for every act of injustice. Help us atone for all our moral failures.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בדיבור פה.
Together, the ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטיפשות פה.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת ריח.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ומתן.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. Failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 88.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי וסתר, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת עול.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בטומאת שפתיים.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
Let's join together.
Pages 98 and 99. Will you hear my voice, you who are far from me? Will you hear my voice wherever you are? A voice calling aloud, a voice silently weeping, endlessly demanding a blessing. Avinu Malkeinu, show us the way to a year of goodness. Renew our belief that the world can be better. Restore our faith in life. Restore our faith in you. Page 114.
Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu, Veyalol aleinu, Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu, Shema Koleinu.
My first al chait is that I kept you standing too long. Forgive me, especially those of you in heels. Well, good Yantif. We all have our own story from the last 18 months. And like most parents, mine is inextricably linked to my children's. So with their permission to share, this is what the last 18 months have been like for us. My oldest, Charlie, is 9 now. He turned 8 in March of 2020 and was the first of his friends to have a birthday party over Zoom. They built Legos together on screen, and they sang a cacophonous happy birthday song, and he blew out a candle over a single cupcake. Charlie actually preferred online learning to being in person, and he is frighteningly comfortable spending a whole day in front of his computer. I, for one, was thrilled to see him return to school. My daughter, Kehilah, is 6 now. She began kindergarten last year online and eventually was able to be on campus. She has lived in the era of COVID for nearly 1/4 of her life. She's never been to her elementary school without bringing a mask, and living through COVID is as routine for her as getting dressed or packing her lunch. And the baby, Milo, is almost 2. Just 2 weeks after I returned from maternity leave, the world shut down for the initial quarantine of 2020. Because of COVID, most of you haven't even met Milo in person, though he does have quite an online presence. He's never been to a Tat Shabbat in our building, and he only just met his cousins this summer. And soon, he'll start learning to wear a mask, and he will not remember a before time like my older children will. This isn't the world in which I imagined raising my children. I've been a parent long enough to know that things will never go the way that we expect. But it seems that my COVID kids are growing up in a future that feels less like progress and more like prognosis. I am afraid that it will get worse before it gets better. And to be honest, I've been afraid a lot lately. And I'm going to share with you now a vulnerable part of the story. And I share it with you because I'm sure I'm not alone. After the birth of my 3rd child, I cried a lot. And I chalked it up to normal new baby hormones. And I'll be honest, the talk of an imminent pandemic didn't help. But when I couldn't get through a doctor's visit without tearing up, she suggested I try some medication for postpartum anxiety. I was resistant at first, but in just a few days I felt better, and I was able to get through the day without crying, and I was able to experience emotions like happy and sad, and not just fear or worry. And I believe that this little bit of medication was a lifeline for me just a few weeks later when COVID became a global emergency. And I believe that it has continued to be a lifeline over the course of the last 18 months, as I have had to relearn how to be a mother, how to be a wife, how to be a friend, and how to be a rabbi in the era of COVID. This is my COVID story. It's personal and it's a little embarrassing, and it is surely different than yours, because each of us has our own version of the last 18 months, of how we coped, or the times that we fell apart, or the things that we wish had been different. We each have a story. Maybe yours is about postponing a wedding or a bar mitzvah. Or maybe it's about your college-age child returning to live at home. Maybe yours is about the deep loneliness that you felt or the loss that you experienced. Maybe it's about missing those hugs from your grandchildren. Maybe you got sick. Maybe your parents did. Maybe you were scared too, and maybe you still are. We are an alphabet of woe. Like the alphabetical confession that we read just a few moments ago, the last 18 months have been emotionally and spiritually exhausting from A to Z. So I invite you now to open your hand. And with each letter, for real, take your hand, open though, and place it on your heart. And I invite you to gently tap your heart with each letter as you open up to these stories and the places that we all have been. We have been absent in our relationships. We have bought too much online. We have given up careers to care for our children. We have felt depressed. We expected this to all be over by now. We have fought with our friends over what is fact and what is fiction. We have gone numb. We have had to give up hugs and handshakes. We have felt isolated. We have become jaded. We have known deep down that we could lose our loved ones or lose our livelihood or lose our lives. We have missed our families. We have been glued to the news. We have tried to maintain our optimism by protecting ourselves with PPE and staying quarantined. And we have run ourselves ragged. We have been sick. We have tested positive and tested negative, and our patience too has been tested. We have been unemployed. We have hesitated to get vaccinated. We have worried that hospitals are extremely full and that doctors and healthcare experts are exhausted, that children and teachers are expected to stay online or face exposure in class. And meanwhile, we are yearning for yesterday because we are so sick of Zoom. I tap my chest and I feel my heart breaking. I didn't expect you to laugh. I thought this would be a sad part. See, but now with my own mental health managed, I can tell you these stories from the last 18 months without crying. But I will admit that sometimes it almost feels like cheating because the last 18 months have earned our tears, and the last 18 months warrant these broken hearts. We began our Kol Nidre service tonight with a psalm, or Zarua la tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. Light will be sown for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. And we have been so righteous with our masks and our distance and our vaccines, and we have tried to be so upright in these careful choices. But we are ready to feel joy, and we are ready to see that light at the end of this very long tunnel. I often hear that we need to get back to normal. And for a little while, it almost felt like we would. This desire for normal, for regular, for going back is our deep, real yearning. But like the Yom Kippur story of the toothpaste that gets squeezed out of the tube and can't be put back in, or the feathers that get shaken free from a pillowcase and then carried away on the wind, I'm not sure that we can ever really return to life as it was. Because these last 18 months and the next one, they are a part of us now. And we can't go back to who we were before. We are all healing differently. And we are all coping differently. And we have all lived through an experience that has left us irrevocably changed. Whether we've been sick or stayed healthy, whether we've gone out or stayed in, whether we are here tonight or whether we're at home online, whether we feel changed or whether we feel the same, the world has changed, and we aren't going back to normal because normal has changed. And to me, a person who is perhaps a bit anxious to begin with, that feels very scary. Professor Gilad Hirschberger calls this collective trauma. Collective trauma is a cataclysmic event that shatters the fabric of society. It's not just a loss of life, but a loss of meaning. There are now these wrinkles in the way that we socialize, and these changes to the ways that we learn and the ways that we work, and this new hesitancy in the way that we interact. And none of it is quite the way it was before. When the vaccine was still new and folks were just beginning to do regular things like restaurants or synagogues or grocery stores again, Dr. Betsy Stone, a psychologist and adjunct professor at Hebrew Union College, explains how what was once normal no longer is. Each step of COVID-19 has brought trauma to us. We have learned new behaviors, masks, Instacart, hobbies. We have adapted and readapted. It's been exhausting. I often describe resilience as a rubber band, she says. It returns to its original shape after we stretch it, but the repeated or continuous stretching decreases the elasticity, and after a long stretch, it cannot recover its original shape. We have been changed deeply and permanently in ways we cannot yet articulate. She continues, we've learned important lessons. Some relationships have deepened and some have sidelined. Kids have gotten closer to their siblings and parents. Some of our kids are happier in virtual school. Some families have been strengthened, and some families have been torn apart. And then she asks the question on all of our minds, what comes next? Most of us didn't anticipate Delta then. We didn't know then that we would be healing and being re-traumatized all at the same time. We didn't know that the rubber band would continue to stretch and stretch until the stretching became our newest normal. We are an alphabet of trauma and an alphabet of tears, and each heart has cracked open in its own pattern, its own uneven design. And some of us have lost more than others, and some of us have cried more than others. Or zarua la tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. We have looked for the light that is sown for us. We have been righteous and upright, but instead of joy, we feel tired, maybe, or perhaps stuck in this yearning for normal, still looking for that light, still waiting to reach the end of the tunnel. Dr. Stone's question echoes, what comes next? Health writer Lorna Collier explains the theory of post-traumatic growth. This is transformation following trauma. It holds that people who endure psychological struggle following adversity can often see positive growth in their personal lives after they emerge from the challenge. And this is not just about sourdough starter or yoga pants. And it's not even about family movie nights or Zoom calls with old friends, though finding those blessings, those silver linings, was a very important part of our survival during the most isolating stretches. This is deeper than that. Post-traumatic growth is not just about how we cope, but how we change. Dr. Stone identifies 6 clear ways that we have grown stronger. These are the qualities that will stay with us and be our newest normal. In the last 18 months, we have deepened awareness of our own personal strengths. We know now what we are good at. We have reprioritized our values. We know now what really matters. We have formed deeper and more meaningful relationships by connecting in new ways with family and friends. We have articulated our appreciation for life. That's those blessings and those gratitudes and silver linings. We have found creative outlets. We have drawn, and we have painted, and we have gardened, and we have baked a lot. And we have experienced spiritual change. We are here tonight, raw and ready to begin again. In other words, Or zarua la tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. These are the ways that we have found our light. And this is how we know that there is joy in the new normal. In my family's COVID story, we have found light in our tunnel by delighting in how the baby Milo is growing. My husband and I have enjoyed our big kids teaching him new words. We are thrilled by how he calls for them, not us, from his crib each morning. His laughter is a gift, and his smile is a promise. Do I wish that my children have had less screen time and more play dates in the last 18 months? Absolutely. I wish that with all of my heart. But I also know that our family dynamic has changed for the better because of all that we have experienced, both the laughter and the tears together. We are an alphabet of woe, and we are also an alphabet of change. Our joy and our tears, they are not in opposition. The light does not shine at the end of the tunnel. It guides us as we make our way through. Or zarua la tzadik. Light is sown for each of us. We sow our light and allow the tears to flow. Because there's no denying that we have lived through a trauma, and we are living through it still. But we are living. We are living.
When you try your best, but you don't succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired that you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. And the tears come streaming down your face. When you lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste. Could it be worse? Light will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. And high up above or down below, we were too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you never know.
I invite you once more to open up your hand and place it on your heart with compassion. Notice how strong you are. You are an alphabet of light, too. We have accepted that the world is changing. We have brought meals to those who are sick and those who are struggling. We have worked hard to stay connected. We have done more than we could ever have dreamed. Each and every one of us has made it a point to be here now. We haven't traveled far, but we have gone deep. We have opened our hearts and we have smoothed their jagged edges, and we have accepted that we don't yet know just what we are learning or how long we are living, and we have made peace with being in the here and now. We have been overwhelmed, and we have felt paralyzed, and we have had questions, so many questions, and not all of the answers have been revealed. But let's notice the ways that we have stretched. Let's notice how hard we all have tried to push past the ugliness in the world. We have gotten our vaccines, and we are waiting for the moment when we can all say how extremely glad we are to see you, and not just on Zoom.
So let us join together in these final words. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you.
So now you know what it's like to work in the office next to Rabbi Mason Barkin every day. Her depth, her courage, her ability to paint pictures with words, and the blessing that she is for our congregation. I know Seth and I feel blessed every day. But Rabbi, you were beyond and above a rabbi tonight. And it was an honor to hear those words and to be in your presence as you shared them. So thank you. That whole thing's going viral. Thank you, Rabbi. So in a little bit after announcements, I will welcome all of our board members and our past presidents who are on the bima. I want to give everyone a chance to just breathe a little bit because we are going to introduce now a woman who has been, just for the last hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, a past president on the Bima, but is a blessing to all of us as our Chief Communal and Executive Officer. And so it's really a pleasure to welcome another light of our Congregation Beth Israel family, Robin Roeder.
Okay. It is so wonderful to be with you all tonight, both here at Pilgrim Rest in this very sacred and holy space, as well as with you in your homes. Thank you to Elder Yarborough and the entire Pilgrim Rest team for making us feel so welcome again tonight. I speak to you tonight with a very full heart, a heart that is full because of you. Your generosity and the way you supported our CBI community and families over the past year, when so many of our fellow congregants were having hard times, was truly something special. We had over 60% of our congregation give generous gifts of the heart to our All for One campaign, plus full support from our board of directors, our preschool teachers, and even those that only knew us through our virtual world. Because of you, we were able to help over 60 families maintain their membership and connection to CBI at a time when they needed it the most. Over 10 families received religious school scholarships, and our youngest families were supported with preschool scholarship. You helped send so many campers to Camp Stein and Camp Channon for a well-needed summer when they would not otherwise have been able to go. I wish you could have seen the pure joy on the campers' faces as they got off the bus at Camp Stein, embarking on a 2 or 4 week camp experience where they got to be outside with other children and feel a bit normal for a few weeks. Before our eyes, we saw kids get that spark back in their eyes, a skip in their step, and a smile on their face. Even more remarkable was seeing the happiness on the faces of the parents as their kids got on the bus. You could almost hear a sigh of relief, an audible exhale, not because their kids would finally be out of the house, well, maybe, but because they knew that this was what their kids needed after this very difficult year. It was because of you being there for each other in the spirit of our All for One that so many of our CBI families had one less stress, one less thing to keep them up at night, and were able to find some peace and support through CBI. But I also speak to you tonight with a very heavy heart, with deep concern and worry. Many of our families are still suffering with the impacts of the pandemic. There are many businesses that have yet to recover, and families are still struggling. There is the accountant, the travel agent, the military family, the single parent, the senior, challenged to find the resources to continue to pay their membership or for their child's Jewish education and experience. They are often embarrassed to reach out for help, but I am so grateful that they do. And I let them know that CBI will never turn anyone away because of financial hardship. These times are particularly hard on our seniors. They are feeling the impact of rising prices and rising health costs. Several of our members have been recently widowed and are uncertain of their financial future. For many seniors, the cost of membership at CBI is becoming a hardship. I am speaking about families that have been members for 30, 40, 50 plus years. For all those that are struggling, we must be there and help in whatever way possible. So, my friends, I call on you again this year, for those of us that can, to support our All for One campaign and give as generously as possible. It is through our gifts of the heart, tzedakah sheba'alev, that we remain a strong and connected community, there for each other when it is needed most. Let us be big and bold this year and achieve 100% participation in our All for One campaign and support our families in need with membership and scholarship. Let us send our kids to camp, religious school, preschool, and let us support our most precious of gifts, our seniors. No gift is too small nor too big. Every gift of tzedakah enables you to help someone else. For those of you that have already given your gift for the year of 5782, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. As we celebrate our centennial this coming year, there will be many opportunities to financially contribute to CBI, and we know that it may feel like many asks. Many of you have been so generous already, and we are truly excited for this year of celebration. Your centennial gifts will establish the all-important foundation for the next generation and the next 100 years. However, I hope you see that a gift for All for One is for today, to help those of us within our congregational family that need help now. My hope and prayer for our CBI community on this night of nights, as we begin 5782 and a year of hopeful renewal and celebration, is that we come together as one community, supporting each other, strengthening our connection, and being there for each other, all for one. May we continue to go from strength to strength. I wish you a year of good health, peace, and prosperity, and pray that we will be back together again very soon. May you be inscribed for a year of blessing, good health, and peace. Shana Tova.
Are we blessed or what? The energy, I hope, out there is the same as we're feeling on the Bima tonight. To have Gail and Jackie and Julie start the service holding our Sifrei Torah as past presidents, and some amazing leaders of our congregation, followed by the words of Rabbi Mason Barkin, the music of the cantor and our choir, and our cellist. I don't know if this is about our 10th year together, or maybe more, but bless your heart. And wow, it's just a blessing. And I can say now, 19 years into being at Beth Israel senior rabbi, that it gets better every year, that we learn from each other and we become stronger together with you at home. Our congregation not only means something to the people in this room and at home, but I think we mean something to the Jews. And we are good for the Jews, and I couldn't be more proud than I am tonight, and humbled. I want to thank Jackie and Lance Cohen, Steve Bressler, Yetta Gettleman, Elena Michael Glazer, Andrew Goldschmidt, Allison Kierman, Georgianne Levy, Amy Nadell, Hetty, and Jerry Orendecker. Did I do better? By tomorrow, I should have it down. Debbie and Jonathan, Jessica, and Danielle Rosenberg and Carol Seidberg, all of whom will be or have been our ushers for Yom Kippur. Tomorrow morning, don't forget at 10 a.m. on the live stream and here at PRBC. We'll begin at 10 a.m. and the service should run just about 2 hours tomorrow for those of you who are preparing. For those of you who wish to stick around in this wonderful space, we will be at 12:30. Usually we do it a little later in the afternoon, but tomorrow at 12:30, and doing our Yom Kippur afternoon learning session. And this is going to be unique in that we've never done this before. Pastor Terry Mackey, who will be with us on the Bima again tomorrow, and I will be here to be interviewed by you, whoever wants to come. You're going to be handed the itinerary, the draft itinerary for our Israel trip. CBI and PRBC together are going to Israel on November 5th of 2022, and we get to interview Pastor Mackey and ask him about all of the sites that we're going to visit that most of us Jews have never visited before, and he will get to ask me about some of the Jewish sites that we'll be visiting. So we're going to go through our itinerary. You'll be able to see the dates, learn a little bit more about the trip. This isn't for pricing. This is just for learning the places that we get to go, half of which I literally, in my 17,000 visits to Israel and spending a year in Israel, have never set foot on. But it'll be great to learn from Pastor Mackey and maybe a little bit from me tomorrow about some of the places that we'll be visiting. Our One Voice family service is at 2 o'clock p.m., and that will be back at, just so you know, the rest of Yom Kippur after the adult learning session. Everything else will be back at Congregation Beth Israel. Our One Voice family service is at 2. Our healing service, led by Rabbi Mason Barkin and the cantor with participation from several members, will be at 3:45, and that will be in the ballroom. Yisker will begin at 4:45 p.m. promptly, and Ne'ilah and Havdalah will follow right after that at 5:30. Please make sure to attend our second volunteer fair, Sunday, September 26th, from 10 till 2. Some of you were at the first fair. Please come to the second fair. It's the follow-up fair for the numerous committees and events and programs which need volunteer assistance. It's also a great way of bonding with other CBI members. Please see Robin Roeder or our website for those of you who have been constantly nudging us to put such a thing together because you want to get involved. Cinema in the Sukkah will be with Cantor Edinger, and Sarah, I assume, will be participating as well. It's on Zoom, and that will be a follow-up discussion on the film Life as a House, which we learned about at Slichot. That'll be on September 22nd from 12 to 1, sort of in our lunch and learn format, but I'm assuming you'll be in the Sukkah unless it's 150,000 degrees out, which may happen. And Zoom. But maybe you'll be in your Sukkah with the movie. Okay. Mark your calendars. I'm going to go through a lot more choir stuff tomorrow, so hang in there, peeps. Mark your calendars for the family retreat. This is one of our best programs. Families are going to be invited to experience Shabbat in the Pines at Camp Daisy and Harry Stein, and that's March 4th through 6th, but I know how neurotic families get with their calendars, so that's March 4th through 6th. We'll have many more announcements tomorrow. I want to thank again to all of those who are here on our Bima, including our past president, Robin Roeder, who's here with Cliff, Jackie and Lance Cohen, and Gail and Michael Baer, and of course our president, Julie Heimovich. It's great to have the team up here. It was like a little reunion tonight. I kind of loved it. And I do always like to mention Susan Sendro, one of our remarkable past presidents who's still very active as a member of our choir. And so we don't want to forget, well, we can't forget Susan Sendro, our past president. Mark is sitting. He always gives you a really sweet look when you're it's very cute. You guys are cute. Anyway, Susan, at least we have a consistent past president on the Bima every service, but it's great to have you in the choir as well, and I'm going to hand it off to the cantor.
I want to make sure that my microphone is on. And then I want to go ahead and thank Peter Anderegg and Deb Hurd for providing our musical accompaniment tonight, along with our beloved Jackie Huber. Thank you so much for lending your talents with us for many past years and for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cantor, for arranging and spending. I know paternity leave for the paternity leave for most people is spending time with the baby. Paternity leave for the cantor was composing music, ordering in, and getting the high holy days prepared. Right, Sarah? And you got to take care of the baby with your mother-in-law and your mom. But that's what the cantor did for paternity leave. I got texts almost every day. Oh, I got a great idea for the high holy days. So keep having babies. We'll keep having more ideas, and before you know it, the choir is going to be filled. Yeah. Anyway, friends, thank you all. We're going to let you go now. And exactly under 2 hours, Aleinu, page 116. Together, please stand. This holy night concludes with Zachor, memory. Our last thoughts, always, are of those that we have lost. We miss them especially tonight, yearning for their presence by our side. The service we have shared once was theirs. They spoke and sang these ancient words. They prayed, repented, and yearned for better lives, as we have done. Flawed in their deeds, imperfect in their faith, they still drew strength from their tradition as we seek fortitude in ours. What was good and beautiful in their lives once gave us joy and now inspires us to reach higher. The knowledge that they loved us deeply bring comfort to our hearts. So we light candles of remembrance and gratitude as we speak the timeless truth, Zichron Neham Livracha, that their memories shall be and always will be a blessing. Their blessing is a memory now and forever. We pray that their goodness will live on in our lives, planting seeds of kindness and hope for generations to come. If you would like at this time to say the name of a loved one you were especially thinking of tonight, those who have been taken from your family circle in this past year or in years past, please feel free to say their name as I look around the congregation. And for those of you online, please type their name in the comment section below. And David Kahn. We always remember the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, including the 1.5 million children who don't have anyone to say Kaddish for them, and the soldiers and civilians of the state of Israel who have given their lives for our Jewish homeland. May all of their souls be bound up in the bonds of eternal life, and may they continue to inspire us toward acts and deeds of righteousness and justice. Page 122. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chai echon v'yom echon, b'chai d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'isman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'le'omei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tishbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. V'seh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to those who are mourning and comfort to those who are grieving. As together we say, amen.
Shalom b'rama. Let's join together in this prayer for peace. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru,
God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations,
May your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength.
may it be a good year.
And may it be a sweet year.
Amen.
Amen.
Shana Tova.